Last team top prospect list before the deadline, and then we're going to have the top 100 update next week. But we're talking New York Yankees top prospects, which is funny because I think in a way it's almost even more well timed. You're going to have at least one or two of these guys moved before this deadline. Of course, I'm arm waiting. He's Jack McMullen. There's a lot of fun arms, even for a relatively thin farm system. And then you have the untouchables, so to speak, which I really think is just Lombard. But all of a sudden now Spencer Jones may be playing his way into untouchable. Great timing to talk about him because every time I think he's going to slow down, he doesn't. So all of a sudden the Yankees farm system becomes a little bit more fascinating to talk about.
Probably. I had 3 more homers on Thursday for Spencer Jones. It's as weird of a setup as I think I've ever seen. We're going to save the Spencer Jones, conversation for the tail end of the episode because, spoiler alert, he's decently high up here. But yeah, man, I mean, aside from Lombard, I feel like everybody's fair game at this point. We talked about it on the Just Baseball show. Jones is playing himself into a really good rental. Like, why can't you do Jones for Gino Suarez nearly straight up? You know what I mean?
He literally might be playing his way out of that conversation, which is I don't envy the position that Brian Cashman is in because there's clearly something has clicked, and we'll talk about it. But like where
this entire fan base, sorry to get us off on this foot, and this is not arm at all. Direct your hatred towards me. Like this fan base wanted to send Spencer Jones to the gulag 2 weeks ago for the last.
I don't blame him.
And now they're like, he might be Roger Maris reincarnated.
Well, 13 homers in 19 AAA games will do that.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy, but the Yankees' strength, and I think it's abundantly clear at this point, is they will take pitchers and kick them into another gear. They'll put them into their pitching development program. They will tweak their arsenal, and usually it will bode well for them, and it usually yields positive results. The interesting thing, and Jeff Passan actually hit on this in his most recent deadline piece, and I thought it was fascinating, is some teams, whether you think this is fair or not, out there are a little bit worried about making a trade with the Yankees because they know that the Yankees have done a good job of helping arms kick it into another gear, but they're not 100% sure about how that fully translates at the big league level, right? Like some of these pitchers have learned how to dominate or at least just be very, very effective in high A, double A. I don't know if that's totally fair because I think if you're throwing really well at those levels, that should be able to generally translate to some degree up there. But it is fascinating as you start to think about it. And it also is fascinating when you start to think about, well, the Yankees tend to move off these guys before you even really see a chance for them to do it internally. And I thought that was a fascinating wrinkle in it. But I do think some of these arms at the top, I really do believe would have success at the big league level. And that's why I'm excited for the deadline because I'm fascinated by which of the Yankees prospects they feel like will do that and which they want to keep. I feel like Schlittler is probably one of them, but that's also going to be one of the guys that a lot of teams want to bring on. So I'm just curious which of the arms the Yankees feel like can help them more specifically versus the ones that they're maybe a little bit more okay moving.
And the beauty of the timing of this episode is we will have any answer that we need within the next week.
Yep. And I'm looking forward to that because, they're going to do something. So the thing that is different with this farm system is it's not nearly as deep as it has been in previous years. And that's where I think we jump into the names to watch. And it thins out kind of quick. You want to just walk us through some of these guys? And I'll add in on whatever you may need.
Yeah, sure. So Gage Zeal, we'll start with Zeal, another pitcher. Zeal is in Double A right now. He's a 4th-round pick last year. Strike thrower, 3.6 ERA and 11 starts at the time this article was released. It's a good slider, but it's just kind of a fastball changeup combination that may make him a back of the rotation starter, but that's kind of it.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the pitchers that don't make that big leap for them after the first year or two. I start to say, like, okay, well, what's going to change here? Zeal, it seems more to be, kind of that type of profile, though. Could be a gets outs guy.
Yeah. Cade Smith, not the Guardians setup guy. There is another Cade Smith, right-handed pitcher in high A. He was a 6th-round pick in 2023 out of Mississippi State. He was really solid at both single A levels last year, but shoulder issue for him. We have yet to see him in a ball game this year. So a lot of
Which is a
unknown.
shame because I honestly was looking at him as a guy that could make a leap here. I thought he
Sure.
could definitely be a guy that with crazy vert fastball, his stuff underlying was really fascinating. He had some really good strikeout numbers. But yeah, we're just kind of waiting to see him get healthy.
Yeah. Eric Reiselman. The Yankees do like their LSU kids, and they like the LSU kids that fly under the radar a little bit. It's not like they're going to take an LSU kid in the first round, but somebody like Thatcher Hurd found themselves in the Yankee organization. Same with Reiselman. Upper 90s heater, really good slider. It's all about throwing strikes.
Yeah.
38 and 2/3 innings last year at a 1.16 ERA with 63 punchouts. At time that this article was released, 29 and 2/3 innings, he walked 34. If he throws strikes, he could be a setup guy.
Yeah, I mean, opponents are hitting 186 against him, but they're getting on base at a 376 clip. So, I mean, that's what you got right now. The velo is ticked down a little bit too of late, and I think that's something to monitor also. But even then, still has been able to get plenty of swing and miss. And then came out of the All-Star break throwing a little bit harder again. Last time out, inning in a third, all 4 outs via the punch out, no walks. So that's when he's great. But then he had a stretch of like 12 outings before that where there was, I think 10 of them, there was at least 1 walk, and a lot of them there was multiple walks. So that's the hurdle for him.
Hard to believe Everson Pereira is still a name to watch, but he is. He's a young 24 years old. He only got 1 taste of Major League Baseball. It was 27 games in 2023. Last year, a lot of injuries. It was an 858 OPS. This year, some injuries, an 878 OPS. He's got 19 homers in 66 games, but he whiffs all the time. He should go. Like, he should go for relief help. He should go for something else. Changes scenery 101.
100%. And this is a guy that I will never fully give up on because you can't teach that bat speed. He's like 6'1", 180, and he can hit the ball 112, 113 miles an hour, and it looks pretty low effort. Like it's remarkable, but for whatever reason, he just cannot cut down on the whiff. He's patient, so the swing decisions have gotten better, but it's still somebody that you'd like to see get an opportunity somewhere else because if it clicks even enough, he can be a guy that runs into enough homers. I would love to see him be better against lefties because then you could talk yourself into the short platoon power bat. But of course, he's a reverse splits guy. 902 OPS against righties, 724 against lefties. So you're just hoping he can cut down on the whiff in general.
Yeah. Another LSU Tiger, and again, another middle round LSU guy, Griffin Herring, left-hander, was at LSU in 23 and 24. He was a reliever for the Tigers. 6th round pick last year. Yankees had him pivot into the starting rotation. It was the classic, I called it the college pitcher cadence for the Yankees, where you shut it down, you don't throw again in the year that you're drafted. He did not appear in a professional game in 24, and in 25 he comes out and he's been awesome. 71 1/3, a 1.6 ERA with 83 Ks.
Yeah, it's great characteristics, but it's also a fastball that, I mean, the last couple of starts, he's averaged like 88. Earlier in the season, he was 90, 91. He gets good carry on it, so that works. And then a pair of quality secondaries, slider and changeup are good, but he's probably going to need to be more in the 91, 92 range to realistically project as that back end of the rotation starter.
Yeah. Brando Maella, somebody that the Yankee fan base fell in love with for a moment. Brando Maella got $4.3 million in the 2023 IFA cycle. He strikes out a good bit, and he hits the ball on the ground a lot, but still very toolsy, very young, work in progress.
Yeah, he stepped forward from last year, but he was like a $5 million IFA guy. Speed and power projection combination was, I think, what made him really exciting. You didn't really see much of that raw power last year. This year, you're seeing it. He's hitting the crap out of the ball. So that part's really exciting, but he's still whiffing a ton. He's still super aggressive. And he still puts everything on the ground. So he's 19 years old. You hope that some things can come along, but he's also been hurt since May 30th. So that part is frustrating as well. I think injuries have been an aspect of it too. So you want to be a little bit patient, but he's 20 years old now in a couple months, and he still has never played it above rookie ball and hasn't really had a ton of success at rookie ball. So he's going to need to break out next year, or else you're going to start to potentially see him kind of slip into obscurity a little bit. Although a guy with that signing bonus gets a few more years probably before they fully slip to obscurity.
It's not a bit, I promise. Brennen Davis, still a name to watch. 25-year-old was a minor league free agent with the New York Yankees. And in 29 games, now granted, 6 came on rehab, but in 22 games, 23 games between AA and AAA, he's got 9 homers in 23 games. Brennen Davis is hurt again.
Yep. He was going to make a grab, foot jammed into the wall. Haven't seen anything about it, but obviously since he hasn't played since June 22nd, he's clearly banged up from it. He was torching, man. He was ready to get up there and help them. At least as just a bench bat, short platoon guy. He's historically demolished lefties. I mean, this year in the 23 games between AA and AAA, 1107 OPS. He was hitting the living crap out of the ball and keeping the strikeout rate in check. I want to see this guy get the opportunity he deserves at the big league level so badly. And he is a name to watch in this system because I was looking at the other players. I'm saying, how many of these guys can feasibly be, even a 1 to 2 WAR guy at the MLB level? And a lot of them, I was really needing to squint to do that. As long as Brennen Davis is healthy, he can easily do that. And that was, I think, the best minor league free agent signing for the most part, aside from some other guys who are maybe surprising and performing at the big league level. The Marlins have a couple I know you're going to plug. But in terms of just like a prospect minor league free agent signing, I felt like this was one of the better ones that we saw. And I still think it can age well if he's not missing any significant time.
Yeah, I was going to say, I got Jansen Junk on line 1.
Yeah,
Junk
that's number 1. That's
number 1 so far and away. And then Roderick Arias, another guy, much like Maea, huge ticket IFA guy in the 2022 cycle, $4 million for Roderick Arias. But this guy is hitting 195 with a 613 OPS, repeating low A this year as a 20-year-old. And all of a sudden, like, age is not on your side. He's 20 years old in low A.
He's almost 21. So,
yeah,
and you're repeating and it's worse. When you repeat and it's worse, it's always scary. And it seemed like there was a step in the right direction last year. He finished the year with an OPS over 800 over his final 50 games. I'm like, okay, slick fielder, so that's going to help, right? He doesn't need to he could be a 40 hit guy, but with above average power as a switch hitter who can pick it at shortstop, you can talk yourself into a big league role there. You can't, there's no type of talking yourself into anything when it's 195 repeating the level at low A. So it's been a really rough year for him, and he is starting to slip into that obscurity a little bit, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Into the top 15, Henry Lalane. He was banged up to start the year and now just getting back into action. 6'8", southpaw. I think it was TJ, right? I think he's coming off of TJ or internal brace, one or the other. It's so hard to keep up, and also the Yankees don't give you a lot of information generally speaking.
Yeah, a UCL injury.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there you go. First start back at the FCL, he averaged 92 on the fastball. A reminder that when he was kind of gearing up for a breakout, he was closer to 94, 95 at the complex in 2023. And that's when everybody was talking about this 6'8", kid that from the left side was also throwing strikes. Then last year it was 92. And then by the time he went down with the UCL injury, it was 89. And that's when he got shelved. So back up to 92 is good to see. The thing that's interesting with Lalane is I don't know exactly what the profile is going to look like long term, because is he going to get back to that mid 90s? And then maybe you can say, oh, that could be like a lefty bullpen piece. Is he going to develop more of that feel for the secondaries? Because the changeup was phenomenal. And that was the pitch that I think really stood out, right? That changeup was really exciting. I kind of wonder if that's going to be a pitch that comes back, or if it takes some time to find the feel for it. And the curveball is just not, I think, is not going to be as sharp of an offering. So it's like fastball changeup guy. As a 6'8" lefty, he's still just 21 years old. I think you just wait and see. Like, I'm not going to throw out any bold predictions here. I just think you have an arm that clearly has some talent. He throws strikes better than most kids that are young 20-year-olds that are 6'8", and you just hope that the Yankees can develop him properly.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that is the hang up for many Yankee fans with a guy like Henry Lalane is with that big of a frame and that athletic of a frame, you would think that the stuff would be a little bit more outlier, and it's just not. So,
No,
like,
it's pretty
for
stock.
me, I'm waiting for the freako pitch to come along, and it doesn't seem like there's a freakazoid pitch in here. So, like,
No.
you don't want, and obviously Bailey Ober has turned out to be a pretty good pitcher for the Minnesota Twins, but like, you got somebody that's 6'7", 6'8". You don't want him to be Bailey Ober. You want him to be Glasnow. You want him to be like somebody with this freak thing that, like, hey, you're throwing 97 from that height. It's crazy to watch.
But I mean, I think that at this point you'd probably welcome the Ober situation, and
of course,
yeah, $10,000 IFA guy. The 34-4 strikeout to walk ratio is what I think really got people excited too, and understandably so. So if he's a pitchability lefty who just happens to be 6'8", that works. I mean, that absolutely works. But that slider, curveball, slurvy pitch is going to need to come along a little bit more, and we're just going to need to see that velo stay in the 93, 92 at least range, because he, to your point, doesn't extend that much for a guy that's as big as he is, doesn't get a ton of vert, so it's going to be execution dependent. Number 14. I hope I'm saying this right. Kenny? Do you think it's Queni? Kenny?
Dude, I
Queni.
I'm going to go Queni.
Queni Pineda?
Queni?
Queni Pineda. I think that's probably Queni Pineda. That is definitely it. Queni Pineda. I'm kind of fascinated by catcher. Dude, they spawn catchers in this system. That's the other thing they do really well. And we should have hit on that at the top. And Pineda, he's somebody that you look at some of the underlying data and what he's done at the DSL so far this year, and there's a lot to like. I mean, he looks like he can potentially be a fun blend of hit and enough power. I think you're interested to see on how the glove comes along, but the bat to ball specifically is what stands out to me. A good approach. And then while he's not tapping into a ton of game power yet, it is an EV90 of 105 miles per hour. So again, you can dream on a little bit more impact. It's hard to take a ton of results from 20 games and take a ton, of info from that, but on fastballs, still working to hit breaking balls a little bit more consistently. I still think you have an 18-year-old catcher, just turned 18, who's putting up good numbers, who has some good underlying data as a catcher in the Yankee system. And I think he's got to be a guy that's on your radar at least, especially if you're a Yankees fan.
I know absolutely nothing about him. I will not pretend to know anything about him, but great pitch. I like it.
This guy you know a little bit about, Roc Riggio. Riggio for a little bit was probably having one of the best seasons in the system, which is probably more of an indictment on the system. But it looked like the Yankees had actually kind of helped get Riggio to a point where you can see what the big league role would be. Because before he was kind of a tweener where the hit was a little bit shy, the power wasn't totally there. It's a second base profile. But now he's really hitting the crap out of the ball. I mean, we're talking about a hard hit rate of 53%. I still have some concerns about swing and miss, particularly against spin. But the guy's slashing 258, 368, 559 this year. And he's just hitting a lot of hard hit baseballs and a lot of home runs. He's air pulling 16 bombs this year as well. It's that left-handed power, slightly over hit, second base profile that I think can play. It would help if he was a little bit better of a defender, but I think he's been a guy that definitely increased his stock this year and has swung it really well. 33% ground ball rate. So he's just going to sell out for hitting it hard in the air. And I think I'm fine with that, given that he was a tweener before.
Totally fine with that. The thing that is surprising is not the homer output, because obviously he hit 18 in his draft year at Oklahoma State. And he's up from 11 to 16 already this year. And he played, half the games last year, 11 in 107 games. This year, 16 in 57 games. The thing that jumps out to me, he hops into Pro Ball in 23. His first 22 games, he hit $192. Last year in high A, he hit 221. This year, he's hitting 258. If all of a sudden you get out of the 220 range and you're hitting north of 240 and you've got the ability to tap into 20, that's a guy that can play second base every day at the major league level.
Yeah, 100%. And 300 ISO.
And that's crazy.
That's crazy. And also, you think about how he would fit potentially in New York if it's even in a part-time role. I mean, I'm seeing Jorbit Vivas continue to get at bats. If Riggio can contribute he air pulls, it's going to work well with the right field situation there at Yankee Stadium. So I think this is a guy that could run into enough homers to carve out a nice role as a second baseman. You got above average power, fine plate discipline. Again, if the defense was better, I'd be more bullish. But I think this could be a power platoon type of infield guy for you. 12 is Jorbit Vivas. I think there's a chance that Riggio could leap Vivas, but the reason why Vivas gets the slight edge here is I think the defense and the plate discipline. It's just, you know what you're getting, at least for the most part. And that's why even, I know he doesn't get a consistent run, but the Yankees trust him to get up there and survive and help them, plug in when needed. Vivas contact rates are fantastic. And I'd like to put a higher hit tool grade, but those contact rates just don't always translate to hits as much. He's not a high BABIP guy because I don't think he hits the ball very hard. Yeah. But at the same time, he's putting the ball in play consistently. He's not chasing, and he can move around the infield. And I think that's valuable as well. Where Riggio, it's like, oh, let's hope he can play second. He can't even really move over to first because he's probably too short for it, and he doesn't really have the arm to play third. Vivas can play second. He can play third. I think in an absolute pinch, you could throw him into shortstop for a couple innings if you needed to, where you're mixing and matching with the lineup. But I just think the fact that he could play a pretty good second and a solid third helps. But it still seems like a bench profile for me ultimately.
100%. But Vivas has been one of the better, to your point, bat to ball guys in all of minor league baseball this year. I'm just looking at like the query right now, minimum 250 plate appearances in minor league baseball as it stands right now. He's not showing up on the leaderboard for some reason, but this guy, the K rate is so minimal. It's what?
Yeah, 11.5%.
I've got 9.
Oh wait, that's including the big leagues.
Yeah, I've got 9.3%.
Yeah, see, like that's what you want if you're gonna have a utility guy coming off the bench, just like grind out AB, see a lot of pitches. The swing decisions are fantastic. I think this might be some of the best plate discipline in other than George Lombard in the system, which I do think is important for that type of player.
100%.
Number 11 is Thatcher Hurd. Not a ton to talk about here because he's unfortunately on the shelf. And he was probably one of the pitchers I was most excited to see come out of that Yankees program and say, okay, what's his stuff going to look like? Right. Because Hurd, he's got a really fun arsenal where you've got a fastball that could be above average, a slider that flashes plus, a curveball that flashes above average. And it's just the classic drafting stuff over performance, right? He had a 6.55 ERA as a swingman. He's going in the third round. A couple really impressive outings on the Cape. And I think that was enough to, make him a top 3 round selection. 6'4", 200 pounds. Like, this is the perfect archetype for the Yankees to work on. And they're going to have more time to do that now as he works back from Tommy John, and we'll see him next year. But this is a player where I'm expecting him to make a big leap. Obviously, he's going to need to get back and take some time. But I'm very eager to see what it looks like because this is the template that they love to work with.
He's had first-round talent for 4 years. Like his freshman year at UCLA in 2022, it was 34 innings at a 106 ERA, 4 earned runs in 34 innings. He punched out 48. But then all of a sudden he goes to LSU and, like you mentioned, 6.55 his draft year. The year before that, a 5.7 ERA. So you just wonder how that happened. But this guy was first-round caliber in high school, seemed like he was an eventual top 10 overall pick after his freshman year at UCLA, and it just didn't click at LSU. So there are very few organizations that you would trust over the Yankees to get a guy like this right. And it's not surprising that the Yankees took him. Like Yankees, Guardians, Rays, Dodgers. If they got their hands on Thatcher Hurd, I was going to be pretty confident that Thatcher Hurd was going to be a Major League Baseball player, and one of the 4 got him.
Especially when I tell you that he can, spin his breaking balls north of 3,000 RPM, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that's a guy template-wise you're excited to be able to work with. We're going to get into the top 10 in a moment. Before that, our first break. Number 10, catcher/first baseman Rafael Flores. And here's the other side of the coin with the Yankees development. If a guy is still looking iffy defensively behind the dish at AAA, I start to wonder if it's ever fully going to come together there defensively. Like they do a really good job of developing catchers, but you can't take a guy beyond his means, right? He just is what he is at a certain point. And I think they've gotten Flores a power hitter who can, I think, really run into some baseballs. I mean, it's been impressive production for him over the last couple of years, and especially in the game power. And they've taken a guy like Flores, who I thought was destined for first base, and I think he could be a 40 grade defender at catcher. So it's a guy that you could still mix in there a couple of times, but it's the 6'4", 230-pound guy that probably profiles best at first. That said, he has enough offensive upside to carry the responsibility offensively that comes with first base if he can hit enough. And that's going to be the big question. But he's 24 years old, 90th percentile exit velocity of 108 miles per hour. It's one of the best figures in the entire system. A hard hit rate of 55%, 16 homers, 23 doubles. I think there's a role for this. I think he's trade bait, to be honest. But like you have Ben Rice at home. I think this is a guy that teams would welcome, because you hope that he can catch, but if not, he mashes. It's like Augustine light situation here, and emphasis on light because Augustine's on a different level in terms of the bat to ball. But I mean, the results have been there for Flores.
They have. The other thing that jumped out to me over the last couple of days, didn't Joel Sherman report that Ben Rice is getting serious trade interest?
I saw that, and that's the only way where, like, if they were willing to do that, then obviously you're holding on to Flores. What I think is fascinating as well is I think Flores has caught 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 consecutive games where they were kind of filtering in first base a little bit more. They haven't as much of late. They really want to see him develop as a catcher here, which I think is fascinating.
I thought at the beginning of the year, to be honest, that he was a sneaky break camp candidate. It was between Rafael Flores and JC Escarra. They preferred what Escarra could do behind the plate. And there was AAA experience for Flores. He was really good in AA, but he had yet to play a AAA game. And for some reason, he repeated Somerset this year, and he was awesome in Somerset. So then they move him to Scranton, and it's only been a week or so for Rafael Flores. But I don't know. For me, it's like, okay, you can trade Flores because you have Ben Rice at home, and Ben Rice is great. But Ben Rice is hitting the living crap out of the ball at the major league level. And there's a chance that the Yankees can get something really legit for him.
Yep.
Obviously, the O'Neill Cruz rumors are a thing. The Yankees have reportedly checked on O'Neill Cruz. That's from Noah Hiles of the Post-Gazette. Like, why can't Ben Rice headline an O'Neill Cruz return to Pittsburgh, and then Rafael Flores becomes needed in this organization?
Yeah, and that's where I can't wait to see what they do, because there's so many wrinkles. But that's why being able to develop catchers is an asset. The receiving has gotten to a point where, and I think you talk about like how you can be a 40 grade defender in the aggregate. It's like, okay, if you receive really well, but you can't limit the running game as well, and you can block okay, like, you can create enough value to be a fringy defender. They're running on him nonstop this year, 105 stolen bases, but he's thrown out 17%.
Yeah, that's an absurd number, though.
Yes, he's caught 21. So they've tried 126
They're trying
times.
10 times a game.
But no, so I mean, he's caught a lot, to be fair. He's caught 60. I think he's caught like almost 60 something games this year.
He's got
65 games this year.
They're 117 for 139 in the stolen base department.
Is that what you have there? Yeah, that's.
I've got 117 stolen bases against him in 65 games.
So that's a problem.
That's beyond a problem.
But he's gotten himself to be a pretty good receiver. And if you can receive and block, is it enough? I don't know. Obviously, you like what you have with Wells, so it's not like he needs to take on a commanding role defensively. But can he just be okay back there? And that's going to be the interesting conversation. But the transfers, when I was watching the video, are just slow. And I just don't know how much quicker that can get. But if he's a 30-homer bat, like, that could work. I just don't know if he's going to hit enough to do it. It's a really fascinating archetype there. But again, he hits the living crap out of the ball. It's some of the best raw power in this system.
Rafael Flores tied for the third most stolen bases against him in all of baseball. The major league leader is Yainer Diaz at 30. It's 67 stolen bases against him. Diverson Gutierrez with the St. Lucie Mets has had 119 stolen bases against him. And the top dog at 125 is Dario Laverde, who plays for Inland Empire, the Angels low A affiliate.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy. Well, we go to another kind of catcher, Jesus Rodriguez at number 9. Rodriguez is a fascinating case as well because I was watching third base tape of this guy too. And he's definitely better behind the dish. But the fact that he can just like hop over to third and be okay is fascinating. And he's another AAA backstop for them. Totally different type of player here. Now, it's hit over power, and it's near 90% zone contact. He hits the ball like hard enough to go gap to gap. But I think that's the big question is just not a lot of impact there. But he's been really solid. Again, he's 23 years old, kind of stockier, more traditional catcher build. Absolute rocket for an arm, which helps his case as well. And I think it's helped him limit the run game. But it's so funny. If you could combine him and Rafael Flores, you'd have, I think, one of the better catchers in the minor leagues. But it's 60 hit. The plate discipline's a little frustrating. The power's 30 grade. But he looks like he could be an average catcher who's, again, like it doesn't look natural to totally, but he made all the plays I needed to see him make at third base and really relied on that plus arm. So I don't know exactly what kind of role he ultimately fits in, but it seems like backup catcher that you can throw in the infield if you really need to, puts a lot of contact, it puts the ball in play pretty consistently, and a zone contact hovering around 90% as a $10,000 IFA guy in 2018. He's been an emergent player.
You may not know what role it is, but it seems like it's a pretty valuable one. And like at the very worst, this guy's a light hitting backup catcher, which is fun. And he can spray the ball around the ballpark, and he's not going to hit the ball out of the ballpark to your point. But I would take a contact oriented light hitting backup catcher who can plug in at third base if you need it.
It's such a fun profile.
Yeah.
I was like, this third base thing has to be a gimmick. And I was sending videos in the Discord. I'm like, yo, look at this play this catcher made at third. and everyone was like, holy crap, he can actually play third.
It's
so
awesome.
Yeah, I love it. He's a very fun player for me, and I really hope he gets a crack one way or another. But another guy that is a good filler trade piece. Anyone's looking for a guy that can plug in a catcher who's already in the upper minors, who can put bat on ball. I mean, it's great bat to ball skills. Number 8 is Ben Hess. Talk about a guy that can spin it. I mean, backspin it specifically. He gets crazy vert on the heater, and that's what's, I think, been the exciting aspect of what he can do. And then the breaking balls have really improved since joining the Yankee system. The problem is he walks a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's been better of late, especially after he shook off, I think it was a stretch of 4 starts where he walked 15 total. It's been better of late, but this is their first round pick, man. So I was expecting a little bit more out of the gate. That said, the stuff has been as advertised. Opponents are hitting 184 against him. He's striking out 34% of batters. There's a lot to like. He just needs to throw more strikes.
Interesting thing to me about Ben Hess, and I'm with you, he needs to throw more strikes, but he's faced 242 hitters in his minor league career to this point, all with Hudson Valley through 13 starts. 242 hitters. How many home runs? Against a verti fastball.
I mean, judging just by how limited the bat to ball has been in general, 4.
2.
Yeah, like that's great for a fastball that he's putting at the top of the zone pretty consistently.
In 57 innings and 13 starts, he's allowed 2 home runs, and he's a 4-seam guy. So that to me is really, really encouraging. And if you say all you got to do is throw strikes, like I feel good about this guy getting away with things within the strike zone.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I think any positive trend, if that walk rate can get to around 10%, I think you can even just carve out even more patience there. It's a guy that I do trust. Yeah, the Yankees can continue to develop pretty well. Again, you can't teach that vert. The curveball is a banger off of that too. You talk about a tunnel. It's a 76-mile-an-hour curveball that just darts off of that. And then he's got a changeup that I think works pretty well off of it. And then the slider that's really come along as well that he'll mix in. I think he should mix in more. It's a big swing and miss pitch that he only throws about 10% of the time. So I do feel like the arsenal is there to be that potential middle rotation starter, or at least a quality 4 that's volatile. But again, just the strikes are going to need to come along a little bit more. Yeah. Number 7 is a guy that I don't think ability is really the question at all. It's availability at this point, and I'm getting more and more concerned about that. Is Chase Hampton? He's a top 100 talent, and as far as I'm concerned, health aside, but that's too big of a caveat for him to be in the top 100, given that Hampton is. You talk about the Yankees just being very discreet about injuries and stuff like that. It makes it even more difficult with a guy like Hampton, who's had several different ailments. We haven't seen him throw since August of 2024. And it was like a shoulder thing. And then it was this or that or that. And the most recent, I believe he's on the mend from now is Tommy John. And that was finally what we got. But there was some other things that he was dealing with then before that. But I mean, when he's right, it's 4 quality pitches. It's a plus heater. It's a good cutter. It's an above average slider. And it's a curveball that flashes above average as well. And the command has been pretty good when he's right. So, I mean, it's a guy that screams back into the rotation starter with room for more. 6'3", 220. It's everything you love. But we haven't seen him throw in a very long time. So it's just waiting to see what he looks like when he's back and healthy. And hopefully it's like Chase Hampton again.
Yeah, it is Tommy John. Flexor strain and a possible UCL injury that was in mid-February, and then in late February was Tommy John surgery. So he will, in all likelihood, be out until the All-Star break of next year.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, just unfortunate because, man, he was one of my favorite arms to watch in 2023. I mean, there was some really exciting stuff out of him, and I think he had like 4 different outings with 10 Ks. It felt like he was K'ing at least 7 pretty much every single time he went out there. Dealt with a little bit of a long ball issue, but I think overall you could get really excited about what can be. So hopefully he gets back healthy sooner rather than later.
Yep.
Number 6 is Elmer Rodriguez-Cruz. And he was acquired for Carlos Narvaez. Now, I was talking about this the other day. In hindsight, you probably should know a little bit more of what you got, especially with an organization that's developing catchers the way that they are. And in the Red Sox brass, they were gushing about Narvaez before the season even started. And credit to the Yankees for creating an asset with Narvaez, because he wasn't a guy that you'd probably think could acquire you a borderline top 100 prospect in Elmer Rodriguez-Cruz. But at the same time, now the Red Sox catching situation is solved for the next half decade, it looks like. That said, you can only turn the page and move forward. And at least you did get a good arm back here who is either going to be a trade chip for them or one of the guys that ends up helping him. And he's the start of that conversation for me when I'm very interested of, okay, is he a piece that you see that can help you, or is he a trade piece? And I generally always skew towards the latter with the Yankees, but they have definitely done a good job of getting more out of Rodriguez-Cruz since he's joined the system as well. You saw a tangible arsenal tweak. He's still just 21 years old. He'll turn 22 in about a month here. 6'4", long, lanky, deep bag of pitches too. I mean, you got a fastball, a sweeper, a curveball, a changeup, a cutter. The command is a little bit hit or miss at points, but it's been good enough, like just a hair below 10% walk rate. But I mean, we're talking about an assortment of pitches that can really play.
Yeah, I hadn't heard really anything about this guy, but the fact that he's already succeeding at the AA level, and he's a young an old 21, I guess. He's about to turn 22 years old. But the fact that he is 21 years old, already succeeding in AA, and he's doing it by throwing a shit ton of strikes is incredibly encouraging to me. So this is a guy that it seems like you have a lot of time on your hands with, which is part of why I feel like they could hold on to him. And they may be reluctant to move a guy like this. But then to the counterpoint, he's been good for 3 years to this point. And you could pitch plenty of teams on a 21-year-old that has been really good for 3 years at this point and saying, hey, you give me a very good third baseman, and I give you this 21-year-old that's been awesome in the minor leagues.
Yeah, and he just got the bump up to double. And, I mean, first outing was rough. I think that happens most of the time with these guys. But even when it was rough, he went 6. He gave up 6 runs, 3 earned, but he went 6 innings. Last time out against Erie, which, I mean, that's murderer's row right now in the minor baseball.
Yeah,
7 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 7 Ks. Fastball average 96 in that one. So, I mean, he puts together maybe one more good start at AA, but I even think that start, you probably had plenty of scouts there. you look at that and you say, man, I mean, this guy can spin the ball. He's got this deep bag of pitches. He's got the four-seamer. He's got this sinker with crazy arm side run. So he picks up above average ground ball rates. Another guy that's only given up 2 home runs this year. Above average ground ball rate, gets the swing and miss at the top, assortment of swing and miss secondaries. That sweeper is gross, and that's like the patented Yankee sweeper. I think there's a lot to like here. And I think he's definitely a pitcher that you don't want to just move for something that isn't going to make a big impact. But I think all of a sudden he is a decent trade chip for them, which is fortunate given how Narvaez is playing for the Red Sox. That I think you can feel like it's at least somewhat mutually beneficial.
Of course.
Number 5, Bryce Cunningham, who was actually drafted after Ben Hess, but he has already passed him for me. Cunningham, 6'5", 230. I love the heater, and that's the big part for me. I love this heater from Bryce Cunningham. And when you're a big right-hander with a good heater, and it's not just the velo, it sits mid-90s, but it's the characteristics and the command. I just get excited because I'm like, okay, the foundation is rock solid. Now let's see what you can do off of that. Changeup is the best pitch off of that. Love that. And then a pair of breaking balls that are good, not great, but I think good enough. And I think that's the part that's fine, right? Like the curveball is above average. Slider looks like it can be average. But if you got a plus heater and a changeup that could be plus, that's a good enough arsenal with that frame and that delivery to, I think, be very rock solid in the back end of a rotation and maybe give you a little bit more. I'm a fan of his. I think the fact that he's walking 6% of batters is exciting. Another guy that's kept the ball in the yard as well. Hasn't thrown since June, though. And so that's the other frustrating thing. We just don't know what the injury situation is. So I imagine he's probably more likely to stay. But I saw enough in those 6 starts that, I mean, I feel really good about what he can be.
You would hope that we would get some sort of update in 2
Oh, no, nothing. I've tried.
It's amazing, man. Yeah, I mean,
they didn't say a single thing, right? Like they haven't even acknowledged that he's hurt.
They said, okay, so here's the report from Yahoo that I see. Actually, CBS. Cunningham was placed on the 7-day injured list Monday per MILB's transactions log. The severity of Cunningham's injury is unknown at this time.
Same thing with Brennan Davis, by the way, too.
It's incredible, man. Like, and you would think that the Yankee, beat would press somebody like Cashman or the farm.
They don't care about prospects.
But it's like, why is your maybe top pitching prospect hurt right now?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's a fair question to ask.
Yeah. What's going on? Like,
what's going on?
How does nobody ask? I don't understand it. And with Brennan, like I had to go back and watch every defensive play to see if, maybe I'll find when something happened.
Where he got hurt and you saw it.
And if I Google Brennan Davis injury, unfortunately, there's a lot of other search results, but nothing since he joined the Yankees organization, and not even an acknowledgement of it. Like nothing. That part is bizarre. And I know a lot of teams do it, but the Yankees might be one of the worst with it.
It seems like it. But yeah, it's an exciting build. And 6'5", 230, that's what I want my pitchers to look like, to be totally honest with you. Yeah, I want durability out the ass right now. Yep. And you look at the best arms in baseball, they are durable. Yeah, I know. You throw your hands up and say, but I want them to have a frame that can handle a heavy workload. Like you look at the best pitchers in baseball right now, they're all big boys, and they understand mass times acceleration will result in velocity, but it also if you have mass, it's going to be lower effort.
And you're going to hold that velocity. Of course, you can't predict health. You help it correlates and it helps, but also just through the duration of the year, those guys are usually going to hold their velo a little bit better. And I think that's what Cunningham kind of screams. And I'm excited about what he can ultimately be. A guy that if he did get hurt, I think the Yankees beat would push on is Spencer Jones, who checks in at 4. And he's been bumped up since we updated this list because, he has hit a home run every single moment since basically this list has been published. Yeah. I don't know what clicked exactly because he's been rolling with that unorthodox setup for a minute here. I think since the beginning of the season. But Spencer Jones found something. The bat path is conducive to never missing a mistake over the middle now, which is great. He's going to strike out a ton, but he's cut that down even a little bit. Whatever this super weird setup that he is now leaned into, like whatever drove him there and he's a guy that he's been willing to experiment. There's no doubt about that. And I actually appreciate that. it seems like he's found whatever works for him to be able to get his best swing off the most consistently he can and not miss an opportunity to leave the yard when he gets a mistake pitch. The question is going to be, does he get those mistake pitches to the same degree at the major league level? Probably not. But does he get enough to slug and get into a slug? And then what's fun with him is it's like if you gave Chris Carter plus speed and defensive ability and defensive viability in center field, he probably gets to 10 years service time. So that's why he kind of this archetype breaks my brain, because he may lead the league in strikeouts, but if he hits 30 and he's playing center field and he steals 30, it's going to be an ugly 3-4 WAR. And it's a player that helps you win ball games. It is. And when he's hot, he might single-handedly win you ball games.
Yeah. Gallo had more prodigious power, but this is kind of what people wanted from Joey Gallo. And Gallo could walk a little bit more, but Jones does other things better. He's faster than Joey Gallo ever was, and Gallo is a Gold Glove right fielder, but Jones can be a very good center fielder. It's funny because you watch this guy man center field and you say, wow, that guy shouldn't be that fluid and athletic at that frame. And then you see him in the batter's box and you say, this is the least fluid, least athletic person I've ever seen before.
Yeah.
It's so weird that all of the athleticism just dissipates as soon as he steps in the batter's box. And I understand why. Like, he needs to find the mechanical cues to make enough contact. To me, it looks a lot like what Jordan Walker was trying to do last year in St. Louis, where it's like, where did you go? I have no idea where you went. But in this weird case, it's working. The hyper mechanical thing is working. If you told me to get the batter's box and replicate what Spencer Jones does, it's the most uncomfortable thing ever. I heard Josh Wetzel, who's the great radio voice of the Rochester Red Wings. He was explaining it like Spencer Jones is leaning over to grab a walker, like an old person.
It's actually a great comp.
Yes. Yeah, you're slightly leaned over, but then you kick up and that lead leg just hovers over the ground for a while, and then all of a sudden you turn and you got a teacher man type thing going on. It's the most unorthodox, least athletic move I've ever seen before on a baseball field, but damn, is it working right now.
Well, how well is it working? Last 30 games, he has 18 home runs. He's hitting 405, 476, 901.
And what's the K rate over that stretch?
26%.
Yeah, dude, like, that's the thing. He's having an out-of-body experience right now, and he's still punching out just shy of 30% of the time.
But it's shy of 30%.
I know.
That is out of body.
I worry he sees somebody that can execute a heater high and tight, and it's like, good night.
Yeah, that is my concern as well. But if they miss over the middle or away, he's going to leave the yard. I think that setup, super tall guy, long levers, especially in the lower half, that I think he was really struggling to just hold his backside. So it's like, okay, how can I create time for myself to get there and be there a little bit longer? So if you start in a position where you have to travel further to get there and it's a cue, I think that's what he found, where it's like he's hunched over, as you mentioned, and then that load is kind of the way that he's able to get back there and create time for himself. So he starts kind of hunched over and hands out in front, and then he's pulling it back and coiling over that back leg and kicking that front leg outward. All of those things to me are screaming, I'm trying to stay on my backside. I'm trying to find any little movements that will help me stay there for another microsecond. And it's a culmination of things that I think are helping him stay there just long enough. And if this guy stays there just long enough, he's going to leave the yard with the best of them. So here's the thing. When he gets out of kilter a little bit, it's going to be putrid. And like, that's the other part, is like, when he's not able to hold it for a half a second longer, it's going to get blown up. But when he is dialed in there, he's going to go on these unbelievable heaters. And you're going to look at the end of the season and the numbers might be good enough. So he's one of the toughest players I've ever had to evaluate. 70 power, 30 hit. The biggest wrinkle for me is the plate discipline. And it's a big reason why I've been a skeptic, is because that plate discipline, he needs to be a 3 true outcome hitter. He needs to cut the chase down more. And I'm nervous that at the big league level, that chase rate may rear its head a little bit more. So that's the one thing I want to watch. But I'm just more fascinated to see what the Yankees do with him, because you could either you may never have an opportunity to sell higher, but at the same time, he may have convinced them enough that this could be a piece for them. I just don't know where he fits in.
Yeah.
We're going to get into the top 3 in a moment here. But before that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about lids and sports cards, because that's a fun intersection now. Lids, the home of headwear, is now your one-stop shop for all things Topps, with Topps Chrome, which just came out a couple days ago, in lid stores now. Whether you're a hardcore collector looking for a hobby box or a casual trading card fan looking for the value box, you can find them now at the lid store. You can also find myself and Griffin Conine at the lid store here at the Boca Town Center for those who are in South Florida, Saturday at 3:00. I'm very excited about that. We're going to be ripping some cards. Griff's going to be autographing some if we pull his rookie card. His rookie card is in this, which is so cool. So we're hoping to pull some of his rookie cards. Any rookie card he pulls, he's going to sign that thing and get it out to you. Or hand it out to you there.
Now, quick follow-up. Can he sign other people's cards? Could he put, like,
I was thinking about that.
Conine on other people's cards?
Davis Schneider's cards, I think it would be legal. I think he would. Davis Schneider would allow. Mervis, I think, would allow. I'm not sure who else, but I was thinking about that. Somebody just want him to sign somebody else's cards. But here's the even cooler part. If you use code JBLIDS, JBLIDS, you can get a special access pass premium membership for free. Any purchase of Topps, or for free with any purchase of a Topps box. Attaboy, Arm. You can read.
There we go.
Let's try that again. If you use code JBLIDS in stores to get an access pass premium membership for free with any purchase of a Topps box. With that Lids premium membership, you get 20% off headwear, 10% off apparel, and first access to new drops, products, giveaways, and more. So that's pretty cool. And it's funny because we always talk about how we're always trying to find stores that have just cards in them. It's so hard. The Targets are always ransacked. The Walmarts are always tapped out. Then you go to some of the card shops, they're upcharged a little bit too much. And now you can just get an Access Pass premium membership for free with the code JBLIDS with any purchase of a Topps box. So it's worth it, because then you get 20% off hats, apparel, 10% off apparel, and first access to those new drops and everything like that. If you're in South Florida, come hang out with us. It would be a blast to meet you at the Boca Town Center.
I think there's a good ice cream spot right next to the Lids at the Boca Town Center. Am I wrong about that?
No, you're not wrong. There is a good one there.
I've been to the Boca Town Center once. I'm really good at IDing my surroundings in mall areas where it's like,
I'm terrible.
Like Auntie Anne's is near this. And you know what? I remember there was a good ice cream spot right near the Lids.
They're mazes for me. I get so lost.
It's funny because everything is just like I don't know if the Boca Town Center is like this, but every mall to me is just like varying shades of marble, and it really upsets me. I'm like, I feel like I'm not welcome here.
Boca Mall's a little bit. They got a little bit more going, but
a little more rustic, a little bit more character in the Boca Town
some
Center.
Fake trees. Yeah, a little bit of that.
I find that really hard to believe in Boca Raton that something would be a little bit more rustic.
Yeah, probably not. Number 3, I need to just put MLB here now. Cam Schlittler.
Schlitter.
There's an L in there too.
No, there's not.
Yes, there is.
I really don't think there is.
There is. Google it.
Oh, there is. Schlittler.
Yeah.
Well, how did my brain ignore the L?
Mine did for a little bit too, until I was writing them up and I was like, oh, there is that other L. There's just a lot of vertical letters there, right? Like the L, the I, the T, the L. So it's
not a lot to like there.
It's crowded. It's crowded. There is a lot to like Arsenal wise. He can throw. I mean, it's a fastball that I think flashes better than plus. It's, I think, a great feel to spin it. The slider and the curveball both look impressive. And I mean, that slider is more of like a true sweeper. He'll manipulate it into a harder cutter as well. And you can pretty much have that as 2 separate pitch designations, honestly. I think there's a guy they want to hold on to, but it's also going to be the guy that everybody wants. Like if I'm trading with the Yankees, this is the arm I want. And like clearly, it's also why he was the arm that got up to the big leagues. And it's also why he's had 2 good starts at the big league level. 5 1/3, 3 runs, got burned by a couple home runs. And then he came back off of a little like yellow flag. I think it was elbow discomfort, but everything was clean. Came back 5 innings, 2 runs, 3 walks, 3 Ks against the Blue Jays in Toronto. I mean, in a pretty heated competitive series. I love this guy. Like, I think he's just a high probability big league arm. I think he can be a middle rotation starter. It's cut ride fastball, and cut ride can be an asset or it can be not an asset. And in his case, it's an asset because he commands it so well and he gets enough of that ride. 71% strike rate on that cut ride heater that averages 96. To me, it plays comfortably plus, maybe a little bit more than that. And then you've got the cutter / sweeper that is like the cutter is kind of a bridge pitch to the sweeper. It's a cutter at like 91 and the sweeper at 86 and then the curveball at 83. It's a really fun arsenal. And I think this is a guy that's going to be a good arm for a long time.
It's a fun arsenal that stays in the ballpark. And much like Hess, you look at a guy who doesn't have that fastball that's conducive to being a ground ball machine. Ben Hess had faced, 240 hitters, and he allowed 2 homers. Well, Schlittler has faced, 310 hitters so far this year, 2 homers allowed. Now, it's a little different in the big leagues. He surrendered 2 homers across his first 2 starts. But, man, like, if you keep the ball in the ballpark, that's who I want at Yankee Stadium. We talked so much about, I remember Lodolo and Green. You were team Lodolo over Green as minor leaguers because it almost felt like the Arsenal was more conducive to Great American Ballpark than Hunter Green was.
Man, you got the receipts.
Yeah, I do have the receipts. But, I mean, Schlittler is a guy that it's like, okay, the Arsenal doesn't seem conducive to Yankee Stadium, but the results are conducive to Yankee Stadium. And I can get behind that.
100%. And the cut ride fastball guys, like some of them have home run problems. Some of them do a really good job of keeping the ball in the yard. It's a very interesting spectrum. But it is a big reason why I like Lodolo and a big reason why I think Schlittler fits the build there. And then talk about like profile in terms physically, 6'6", a little bit more room to add strength, but pretty sturdy build. You can't teach this ability to spin it. It's just a really natural ability to spin. That's why the Yankees targeted him as kind of an under the radar Northeastern kid in the 7th round. So I think that's another solid arm that they probably want to help them this year. So I think I do wonder if they're going to be more interested in moving a guy that's probably a higher ceiling prospect, but not helping them this year in Carlos Lagrange. And Lagrange checks in at 2 because, and this was finalized, to be clear, this also was finalized before Schlittler debuted. But Lagrange's ceiling is just, I mean, if it all comes together for Lagrange, he can be a number 2 starter and maybe more, right? But there's also the chance that it doesn't come together enough for him to be the consistent arm that Schlittler already looks like he could be. So it's this interesting conundrum. But Lagrange is 22 until a month into next season or 2 months into next season. He's touched 102. He's starting to get stretched out more and more. The fastball was average 98.5 this year. The sweeper is picking up elite whiff rates in the zone. The slider is picking up elite whiff rates in the zone. The changeup has been utterly dominant. And what's crazy, because I thought that was his worst pitch going into it. And he doesn't throw it a lot, but when he has, it has been dominant. So now that looks like he can be an above average pitch. We're talking about 4 potentially above average pitches here. A 35% strikeout rate for 6'7" righty. He's going to need to cut the walk rate down a little bit more, but he's getting there. I do think this guy could be a monster, but it's obviously a wider range of outcomes.
It's cool. It's cool watching somebody control their own destiny to frontline upside. And it's not like, Lagrange is going to run into too many obstacles when it comes to opposing hitters because he's just like better. He's got louder stuff than anybody can really deal with. It's not Mizorowski level, but it seems like 70% of the Mizorowski thing where the pitches are so good in a vacuum where you're not going to get hit around the ballpark any day. It really just comes down to you executing, and you can probably get away with a lot of pitches over the heart of the plate.
Yes, no doubt. And that's where the end zone whiff comes in. Across his entire arsenal, his end zone whiff rate is north of 28%. For reference, average end zone whiff rate across, an arsenal for a pitcher is probably going to be around 16%. So he's, for every 100 swings on pitches in the zone, he's getting an extra 12 whiffs. You know how many strikes that buys you? How many misses that buys you? Like you could say 12, but like in general, you're not missing that. So the mistakes, you have a better chance of just getting about a 12% chance of getting away with it. More
margin for error is amazing. Yeah,
it really helps. He's also in Double A now. Again, all these guys have been bumped up since we updated this, but since he's got to Double A, it feels like he has dealt with more patient hitters. And to your point, like it's a guy that does control his own destiny. 171 opponent batting average, but he has allowed base runners at a 308 OBP because he's walked 15% of batters. But the fact that it's a 3.54 ERA, despite that, shows you no one's hitting him hard. It's just, can he keep the walks in check? That is mostly affected by Erie walking 7 times against him in one outing. But even in that outing, like he still was able to get swings and misses. Since he's got to Double A, he's had a 12 strikeout outing, a 10 strikeout outing, an 8 and 7. And last time out was 6 against Erie, 1 earned run. This guy can be a monster. Just, can he rein it in enough?
Yeah.
Number 1, George Lombard Jr. This guy, I mean, he's clearly the best in the system. We're waiting on him to get fully acclimated to Double A, which was a very aggressive assignment or promotion. But he already is starting to get there. He homered in back-to-back games out of the All-Star break. He has a hit in, I think, every single game since the All-Star break. And it's some of the best plate discipline, not only in the system, in the minor leagues. That's why he's in Double A already. This kid is so ahead of his years at 20 years old and a freshly turned 20 years old. It's a 15% chase rate. But it's not just the patience. It's the way that he is controlling his at-bats. He's still picking his spots to try to get his better swings off. And the one thing with him is, I do want to see a little bit more raw power. Like the bat speed is not totally there for a guy that's 6'3" and looks the way that he looks, but he's also young, and I think that can come, with another professional offseason here. But he handles secondary stuff well. He recognizes spin well. He's just such an advanced player. He's come along well at shortstop, and I think that's going to be another thing to monitor, but he has come along well there. And the fact that he's been able to be pushed like this as a 19/20-year-old, he's kept the strikeout rate in check in Double A. He's still walking. He's still elevating enough. Like, this is going to be a really, really good player. I wouldn't get lost in the surface level stats.
He's Derek Jeter. He's already Derek Jeter, and he's already.
Because he's number 2, right?
Yeah, he's wearing number 2 for the Somerset Patriots. Unbelievably ballsy thing to do. Wear number 2 as a shortstop for the Yankees. Yeah, I mean, he's already better than Volpe according to the fan base, and Volpe should be sentenced to Siberia, and Lombard should be in the big leagues now. What would you ID as the 2 premier things for him to work on before he gets that shot in the major leagues? Because it's probably coming at this rate next September.
Yeah, I would say the raw pop. I just think the swing mechanics have come along so well, and like you saw that going into this year. Obviously, the plate discipline's elite, and I would say it's raw power / bat speed and the defense at short. Those are just the 2 things to monitor. His instincts you can't teach. His swing mechanics you can teach, but he has so quickly come along to that. And just the overall profile and just the build and all of those things, like all the ingredients are there. And he has the ability to squeeze out the most of what he's got. So I really think for him, it's defensive ability, which has come along nicely. And then the bat speed and raw pop, which I think is just going to come along as he matures, and maybe a bat speed program, something along those lines, that'll help him a little bit more. But just wanting to see a little bit more impact. And even when you watch him, I think more bat speed will just help him handle velocity a little bit better. I think in general, it'll help him cover the top a bit more. That's probably the last piece there offensively.
Got you.
That'll do it for the Yankees system. We'll see how many of these guys are left in a week. I know Lombard will be. That might be the extent of it. I don't really know. And it seems like Jones is increasingly likely, but who knows at this point. But then we got a top 100 update on Monday, assuming I can finish everything, but I think I can. Top 100 update on Monday, including the draft guys, so that'll be fun. And of course, we wanted to get that update out before the deadline, so that kind of the caliber of some of these prospects that are getting moved. We have a full week of episodes, not full week, I guess, with 3 episodes next week with the top 100 update, with deadline stuff. We're always going to be breaking down the packages and all that good stuff. So definitely keep your eyes out and stay up with our socials. We are crushing right now. I'm really proud of the team that we got going with the call up on Twitter. You're not going to miss anything there, highlights wise, on our Instagram. It's been rolling really well there. So keep up on all those fronts, and on YouTube, subscribe. Join our Discord. We'd love to have you in there, especially during the deadline. It's been really fun talking about that stuff. Yeah. And that's it. So hope you all have a great weekend. Look forward to talking prospects and deadline with you next week.